Welcome back, everyone, inside the Journeymen Boxing Studios. This is Double Jab Radio. I'm your host, Rich Quinones, and we'll switch gears a little bit, and we'll talk heavyweight division. Obviously, well known already who the WBC champ is right now. That, of course, is Deontay Wilder. And one of the components of his big win is having the right guys in his corner. Mark Breland, one of those in his corner, arguably the greatest amateur to ever come out of the United States. Of course, Mark Breland won gold in '84. We'll talk a little bit about that. But he was in Deontay's corner, and he's kind enough to join us for a couple minutes. And Mark, it's always good to catch up with you. And first and foremost, I appreciate a couple moments of your time today.
Oh, thank you. No problem. Anytime.
Going into the fight against Stefan, he was going to have to answer a lot of questions. And, you know, I went on the record of saying I want to see him, prior to the fight, I want to see him step up and you know, fight someone who I believe is going to give him a tough test, maybe test that chin a little bit. But ultimately, he shocked the heck out of me. I mean, he was in control from the get-go. And I would say most of the fight, and went past 4 rounds for the first time in his career. I personally scored it 117-111. And, you know, it's one of those situations where I thought he did everything great, and he was extremely active. So with that being said, what were some of the things that you guys worked on leading up to that fight, and what made him so successful in that fight?
Well, what I specifically worked on was his jab. I mean, everybody knows he's got a great right hand. Everybody used to throw the right hand like an overhand right, but I started telling him to throw it straight and lock it out when he throw it straight. But the thing is, with his jab, in this fight, you know, I said, look, I watched the fight with Stefan and Ray Austin. And Ray Austin was beating him with a jab. So I told Deontay, I said, look, jab this guy. I said, don't jab him, stab him. I mean, stiff jab. So I said, because he's going to come right to you. Now, I didn't know this guy can take a punch like that. I mean, Deontay was hitting with some good shots, and I was like, wow, okay, he can take a good punch. And one thing we worked on was I'm coming right at him, coming right towards Deontay, because Stefan, he doesn't have any movement. He's usually going straight forward or straight backwards. He can't fight going backwards either, so everything is straight forward. So I told Deontay, I want you to either box going to your left or box going to your right, using a lot of jabs because you won't miss him. And he pretty much beat him with a jab the whole fight. Yeah,
and I think it was a great game plan and a good point you bring up, because not only was he going to the jab, it's rare that we see heavyweights throw combinations, but when he did do that and let his hands go with some combos and power punches, he immediately went right back to the jab, which I thought really, just kind of dictated the fight. I mean, were you surprised that when you look at the punch stats, Deontay landed 227 of 621, right around 37%. Conversely, Stefan landed just 110 of 327, which was 34%. So the percentage was right there. But the bottom line is, I should say, the quantity of punches thrown by Deontay, like I said, 621. So right there tells you that not only was he displaying a strong left, but he was connecting with a lot of powerful right hands. Is that something that you saw as the fight progressed, that there was going to be some opportunity there for him?
Oh, yeah. I seen it from around the 4th round. But the thing was, I was like, oh, it's not to take a good shot. And I was kind of worried, don't hit up, you know, like telling him, try not to hit him on the side of the head, you know, because anywhere up there is a breakage. But my thing was really my main concern was just do not get on the ropes. Whenever you get your ropes, step away from the ropes. Or, you know, you might get on there for a second or two and get out, because the only chance he has is to catch you inside close. I didn't want him inside at all. In the 11th round, it's 4th round, he got inside because he pretty much had him down. He pretty much had him pegged at that time. So, you know, I let him, you know, do what you want to do on that end. Just stay, you know, relaxed, but don't get too relaxed.
Mark Breland joining us for a couple moments inside the Journeyman Boxing Studios. This edition of Double Jab Radio. I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We're talking about Deontay Wilder's big win against Stefan, and of course, ultimately brings back the heavyweight belt to the U.S. And I guess, you know, a lot of people now are going to say, well, what's next? It depends on how you look at it, because we all know that Deontay has called out a couple fighters, and the Klitschko being one of them, and feels as though he's been kind of ducking him for years. So with that being said, you know, when you look at you know, Brian Jennings, who has a fight against Vladimir Klitschko, and Klitschko owns, I mean, you can just talk about all these ring heavyweight titles, WBA, IBF, WBO, IBO. That fight's slated for April 25th. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But in your mind, and I know you can't speak for Deontay, what would be the game plan in a perfect world for him going forward, and what kind of matchup would you like to see?
I want matchups, you know, now with guys who are just tall guys. Or, I mean, well, you don't have too many guys as tall as he is.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got the guy Tyson Fury who runs his mouth. But I mean, just to keep them. My thing is just to keep them busy. Just keep them busy, fighting different styles.
Well, how about you mentioned, Mark, you mentioned someone tall. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I mean, you look at Tyson Fury, 6'9", British heavyweight. I know Deontay's mentioned that he'd love to fight him as well. I mean, that to me, you're talking about a guy in Fury that's a massive 6'9". That's not a light 6'9". That's 250, 260.
I like that though. You know, I don't care how much you weigh. You can't take it. You can't take it.
You don't think Fury has? You don't think Fury has the chin to absorb that?
No. No. I think if I hit Fury, he'll go.
Is that the 84 Mark Breland?
I mean, you know, it's a thing where, I mean, he's a big guy. He doesn't have a great chin at all.
So you can see right now, you would, if that fight were to happen, you can predict in your mind that Deontay would knock out Tyson Fury.
I think he would. It's just a matter of time. I think it would be just a matter of time to get used to someone taller than him. And then, but Fury at the same time, he's got somebody who's just a little bit shorter than him, but much more powerful than he is.
And, you know, Fury's also a guy where he'll get a little agitated during the fight. He typically likes to drop those elbows a little bit and push down his opponent. We saw him do it several years ago against Steve Cunningham, and you would probably venture to guess it would certainly get a little feisty in the ring between those two.
I wouldn't want it, you know, to be a good, you know, match where you rushing and all that stuff. Just stay on the outside. You let him get frustrated. The more he gets frustrated, the more he'll get thrown out of his game. And the easier it would take for Deontay to commit punches on him.
Well, I have you on for a couple minutes. I want to switch gears and get your opinion on two things. First of all, get tired of talking about it, but Floyd and Manny, if the fight were to be made, I mean, handicap that fight for me. And a lot of people are going on record saying that obviously Manny's not the same fighter. Floyd would easily dispatch him, and Manny is almost now the B-side because he's not really a big draw anymore. Floyd obviously still the A side where that money would garner a boatload of money in PPV, but kind of handicap that fight.
My take on that fight is Floyd knows how to win, but the thing at the same time, I think it would have been a much better fight a few years back.
Yeah.
It would be now. You know, but, I mean, because Manny throws a lot of punches. And I think, you know, they would have to put, I mean, honestly think that, you know, the referee, you know, whoever's the referee is going to be the key to that fight. Because with the Madonna fight, the second fight with Madonna was swarming Floyd all over him. The referee stopped, break.
Right.
Wouldn't let him get close.
Yep.
Wouldn't let him get close. Pacquiao throws a lot of punches in bars, you know. Barrage of punches. I mean, you know, so what you gonna do? Make them stop every time you get close?
Well,
and that's the key to the fight right there.
You know, it's never a good fight when the broadcasters are too busy mentioning the referee's name and not the fighter's name. That tells you that,
exactly.
You know, there's a third man in the ring, so to speak. Before I let you get out of here, I know we talked about this a while back, but I always like to joke with you and ask you this: 76-84. I know, obviously, I know where you're going, but just talk about 84 Olympic team. I'll still go back and forth with you and say 76, but how about that? How about that 84 team?
Great team. You know, a lot of good fighters. 84 against 76. Tough one, tough pick.
I like that political correctness answer. Between the two, if you can pluck a guy from 76 and pluck a guy from 84 that you would want to see fight, who would it be?
Meltrick and Howard Davis.
You think that would have been an action fight or more of a defensive fight?
Very
Yeah.
At the same time, I would love to see Pernell fight. Yeah, I think Mildred and Howard would have been a good fight. Or if it would have been Mildred or Howard and Pernell.
Wow.
Been a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking guys defensively, you know, great hand speed, smarts, ring savvy. It would certainly have been something interesting to look out for. All right, my friend, listen, I know you got to get going. I always appreciate catching up. Hopefully we will touch base, but I do appreciate a couple moments of you jumping on board today.
No problem. Thank you very much.
All right, Mark, be well.
All right, Rick. Thanks.
All right, that's going to do it for another edition of Double Jab Radio Live from the Journeymen Boxing Studios on a Friday. Another edition in the book. Special thanks to Mark Breland for jumping on board, giving us some good insight on Deontay Wilder, and always good to catch up with arguably the greatest amateur boxer to ever come out of the U.S. This edition of Double Jab Radio has been proudly sponsored by Casanova Boxing Gloves, Victory Boxing Gym in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and of course the Atlantic City PAL in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The AC PAL always making a difference. Everyone have a good Friday night. Thanks again for tuning in to another edition of Double Jab Radio. As always, to our friends in Spain and Latin America listening to us worldwide online at www.journeymanboxing.com. Oh, mercy para nosotros, amigos que nos escuchan en España y América Latina. Gracias por tu tiempo. Please follow us on Twitter, RichQ Also, our wonderful exclusive photographer, Shirei Shagogi, S. Shagogi, on Twitter as well. Check out her YouTube page, Twitter again, S. Shagogi. You can also check out my YouTube page as well, Rich Quinones. Finally, remember, it's not the destination, but the journey you should enjoy. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you Saturday for a little more. Mas Double Jab Radio. Until then, we'll see you next time.